Hello. All right, last plant. This is potentially a little bit crazy. You can see how my watering in is working over there. Oh dear, sorry, bumped you. And this is from the first video today, which is going to be right up there. And I am curious as to when I'll actually get to mulching, but I do not think it's going to be today because I can already see hints of the sunset in the sky, and we're going to start to hear the birds "Where are you sleeping?" song pretty soon, because the birds like to ask each other quite loudly where they're going to be sleeping tonight. But perhaps against my better judgment, I have decided to plant the groundnut right there. Why I think maybe against better judgment, this is a native plant and it can have a bit of a weedy habit. It can kind of take over. It's vining, so I'm hoping it'll go up the Saskatoons, enrich the soil for them, but it's also a tuber. So here we go. There's the tuber. I lost the ability to see what I'm looking at. There's the tuber. Isn't it a neat color? And so I'm hoping that it'll be okay back there, because it being a tuber, it's going to get all tangled up in everything else's perennial root systems back there. And there won't be much hope of changing my mind in the future. So I'm really hoping this isn't stupid. But I guess we'll find out. So this is my groundnut, and we'll find out if there's more in this package. This is from the Edible Acres delivery. It came in this recycled greenhouse plastic that probably had tears somewhere in it. And it was kept very moist in this sphagnum moss and compost combination here. Probably some wood chips, all kind of stuff in there. Kept real nice and moist. So, because these are prone to drying out. Let's get this in the ground. I'm gonna have to mulch it like crazy. And the reason I need to mulch it like crazy, as I've mentioned in several other videos before here, is because the freeze-thaw cycles of the winter are gonna be pretty rough. Little chunks of rock there. So this, I'm just putting it in the ground. Let's see if there's more in here. Yep, one more. So this is Apios americana, one that I have been coveting for years. And isn't it weird that I can covet something for years and not actually know where I want to plant it? Well, here we are. It's a fact. That's legitimately, this is how I do, I guess. That, oh wow, that gosh darn ground ivy is over here in abundance too. But since I'll be digging this in order to harvest, I'll have the option to come back at it as much as I need to. So yeah, this whole area is going to be mulched with hardwood. It does seem that I knocked over this cherry tree sucker, which I have yet to decide if I'm taking it out or letting it go. I think that is sufficiently watered in and out. However, now we can turn it onto the groundnut. I'm actually going to go a long way so I don't kick you. Nobody likes a kicked tripod. Back in there, I just tucked them into the dirt, and now I just need to flood irrigate them to rehydrate the roots after their long travels. There's a very confused with the spider climbing out there. And this hose is going to go from new transplant to new transplant sequentially around the garden, drenching everything. Ideally, I'd already have water in those rain barrels, but they just got delivered today. So we are still using municipal water for now. And that is okay, because that transition to more sustainable garden watering is in place. The structure for it is in place, and I'm very excited about that. Yeah. So you can see that's basically a flood field at this point. I'm gonna mulch like crazy in many places. The groundnut likes shade and moisture, and they say anywhere that poison ivy will grow, groundnut will too, but that's not necessarily been what I've seen. Also, the leaf pattern on the groundnut is somewhere, it looks somewhere between a bean and poison ivy. So pay close attention whenever you're looking at the leaves before you rip things out. But then again, if you did rip it out instead of just poison it, you'd easily start to see those bulbous roots and know that you had a food crop instead. So that's the same thing with hognut, which I don't remember the scientific for. It's also called ground peanut, but you will not be able to Google that. You need to Google hog, as in wild pig, H-O-G, nut. And that is another type of plant that is a nitrogen fixer with a tuber that is edible like this. If you're allergic to latex, you can't eat this plant. Just so you know. It's got a white, milky exudiate. I don't work with chemists or anything. No, not at all. It leaks white stuff is what that means that I just said. And so that white stuff is too close of a relative to latex for people allergic to that. So keep that in mind. And yeah, so all I have left to do is move the hose around a bunch of times, let it soak real good. You can see how much I let these soak. It's crazy, isn't it? Let every new plant soak real good, because we're not just hydrating the soil around it this first round, we're also rehydrating the root itself. And provided that you don't have a situation where it's going to stay puddled, as soon as I move that hose, it's going to seep into the ground. So in spring, this is more important because the heat index is more. In fall, I won't have to water this daily. I can now kind of walk away because 65 isn't a completely dehydrating experience, and I don't want to have them rot or become moldy then rot, because you just want to get them wet once in the fall and then leave them. Let it drain, mulch it real good, and leave it alone. So that's my plan. And hopefully these won't freeze, thaw, heave out of the ground, because I do have significant problems with things never staying frozen over the winter, and that slowly eking plants out of the ground over and over again. Even if I tuck them back in every time it thaws, it still generally leads to their death. So I'm really hoping that we have a consistent enough winter, or that I mulch them thick enough that it'll be okay. And this is plant-in day from my fall Edible Acres plant delivery. We are doing good here. Hope you're having a good one. Thank you so much for following along on my plant out day. We're definitely losing light. I am not getting on my social media. I'm staying on YouTube and talking about plants today because it's the first Tuesday of November in the US in 2020, and I'm terrified. So I know it's going to take a long time to count everything once the votes are all in. It's not going to be, an electronic vote outcomes kind of thing. It's going to be a everybody sit and count paper kind of thing. So it's going to be more like finding out that Al Gore lost back in the 90s as far as the speed. So be patient, and let's not scare each other too bad. Let's try and keep each other sane, as it is terrifying. And I will talk to you real soon. I'm gonna stay clueless probably for a while, so let me do so. And I will talk to you soon. Hope you're having a really good night. Maybe we'll even do a processing the sunchoke video. We'll see. Thank you so much for visiting the cliffside. This has been Permaculture, and I hope you have enjoyed this little video about groundnuts and me rambling about plants. If you like me rambling about plants for about 10 minutes at a time per soundbite and being inundated in plant videos on election day, hit subscribe. This is basically what you've just signed up for, is me rambling about plants and permaculture. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you're having a good one, and please do take care. Thanks so much. Bye.